My name is Emma Rodriguez. From the outside, I had the perfect life. I was 28 years old, living in Los Angeles, working as a marketing executive at a Fortune 500 company. I made 6 figures. I had a beautiful apartment in Santa Monica, overlooking the ocean. I drove a BMW. I had thousands of Instagram followers who thought I was living the dream. Every photo showed me smiling at beach parties, expensive restaurants, yoga retreats, perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect life. But every single smile was a lie, because behind the Instagram filters and the corporate success, I was dying inside. I'd wake up every morning with one thought: I don't want to be alive today. I'd look at myself in the mirror and hate what I saw. Not my appearance. I knew I looked good on the outside. I hated the emptiness inside, the void that no amount of success, no salary increase, no vacation, no relationship could fill. I was 28 years old, and I'd already tried to kill myself twice. And I was planning my 3rd attempt, because I'd convinced myself that the world would be better off without me. It didn't start this way. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Middle-class family. My dad was an accountant. My mom was a nurse. I have one younger brother. On paper, normal childhood. But when I was 12 years old, my parents sat us down and said they were getting divorced. My dad had been having an affair with a coworker for 2 years. My mom was devastated. I watched her cry every night for months. My brother shut down completely. And I became the peacemaker, the one who took care of everyone, the one who smiled and said, "I'm fine," even though I was breaking inside. My dad moved out, remarried within a year, started a new family, and I felt like I'd been replaced. Like I wasn't enough to make him stay. That belief, I'm not enough, became the soundtrack of my life. I tried to prove I was enough by being perfect. Perfect grades, perfect body, perfect career. But no matter what I achieved, that voice in my head whispered, "You're still not enough. You're still replaceable. You're still unworthy of love." In college, I started having panic attacks. I'd be sitting in class and suddenly I couldn't breathe. My heart would race. I'd feel like I was dying. The university counselor diagnosed me with severe anxiety and depression. She prescribed medication. I took it for a while, but I hated how it made me feel numb, so I stopped. Instead, I tried to control everything: my diet, my weight, my grades, my schedule. If I could just be perfect enough, I thought, the pain would stop. But it didn't. It got worse. I graduated with honors, got my dream job in LA, started making real money, and I was more miserable than ever because I realized success doesn't heal trauma. Money doesn't fill the void. A better body doesn't make you love yourself. I was standing on the balcony of my beautiful apartment, looking at the sunset over the Pacific Ocean, and all I could think was, what's the point? Why am I even here? I have everything I thought I wanted, and I still want to die. September 2019. I was 26. I'd had a panic attack so severe that I ended up in the ER. They gave me sedatives and sent me home. That night, I sat on my bathroom floor with a bottle of pills. I thought about my mom, my brother, my coworkers, and I convinced myself they'd be sad for a week, maybe a month, but then they'd move on. They'd be fine without me. Better, even. I wouldn't be a burden anymore. I took the pills. All of them. Then I laid down on my bed and waited to die. But I woke up the next morning. Violently sick, but alive. I called in sick to work. I cleaned up the evidence, and I never told anyone. I was too ashamed. Ashamed that I'd tried. Ashamed that I'd failed. Ashamed that I still wanted to die. So I went back to work, put on my makeup, posted on Instagram, pretended everything was fine. And inside, I was screaming. March 2020. The pandemic hit. Lockdown, working from home, alone in my apartment for weeks. No distractions, no way to avoid my own thoughts. The isolation was suffocating. I'd go days without speaking to anyone. I'd scroll Instagram seeing everyone's sourdough bread and home workouts, and I felt like an alien, like I was broken in a way other people weren't. One night, I stood on my balcony, the same balcony where I'd watched sunsets, and I looked down at the street below. 12 floors. I did the math. At that height, I wouldn't survive. I climbed over the railing, stood on the edge. The wind was cold. I looked down and felt calm. Finally, peace. Then my phone rang. My mom. FaceTime call. I don't know why, but I answered. She saw where I was. She screamed. She begged me to climb back over. She said, "Emma, please, I can't lose you. Please." I saw her face, the terror in her eyes, and I climbed back. Not because I wanted to live, but because I didn't want her to watch me die. She called 911. I spent 3 days in psychiatric hold. They diagnosed me with major depressive disorder and PTSD. They adjusted my medication. They made me promise I'd see a therapist. I promised. I lied. 2 weeks later, I was back in my apartment, back to the same thoughts, back to planning. August 2021. I'd stopped going to work, stopped answering calls. I'd lost 20 pounds. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. Hollow eyes, skin and bones. The perfect Instagram life had completely fallen apart. My boss had called asking if I was okay. I said, yes, just dealing with family stuff. More lies. My apartment was a mess, dishes piled up, curtains drawn. I lived in darkness, literally and spiritually. I was planning my third attempt. This time, I wanted to make sure it worked. I researched methods. I wrote goodbye letters to my mom and brother. I cleaned my apartment so they wouldn't have to deal with a mess. I made a plan for a Saturday night. Nobody would find me until Monday at the earliest. I sat on my couch with the letters in front of me, and I felt nothing. No fear, no sadness, just nothing. Emptiness. I thought, this is it. This is how my story ends. 28 years old, and I couldn't find one reason to keep living. Not my family, not my career, not my future. Nothing was worth the pain of existing. It was 2 a.m., Saturday night turning into Sunday morning. I was sitting in the darkness of my living room. The goodbye letters were sealed. My plan was set for 3 a.m. I was just waiting, watching the clock. And then something happened that I cannot explain. I heard a voice, not an audible voice like someone in the room, but clear, distinct, inside my heart, but not from my mind. 4 words. You are deeply loved. That's it. Just those 4 words. You are deeply loved. And I broke. I mean, completely shattered. I started sobbing. Deep, gasping sobs that came from a place I didn't even know existed inside me. I fell off the couch onto my knees, and I cried like I hadn't cried in years, maybe ever. And those words kept repeating in my heart. You are deeply loved. You are deeply loved. You are deeply loved. I didn't know who was speaking. I wasn't religious. I hadn't prayed since I was a kid. But I knew with absolute certainty that those words were true. That someone, somewhere, something greater than me, loved me. Not for what I did or how I looked or what I achieved, just loved me for existing, for being Emma. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my floor until sunrise, just crying and feeling this presence I couldn't explain. When the sun came up, I did something I'd never done before. I Googled, "God loves you." I know, it sounds so simple, but I'd spent 28 years believing I was unlovable, and those 4 words, "You are deeply loved," had cracked something open inside me. The search brought up Bible verses, John 3:16, Romans 5:8, Ephesians 2:4-5. I started reading, and I couldn't stop. These verses said God loved me while I was still a sinner, that nothing could separate me from his love, that he sent Jesus to die for me specifically. I'd heard about Christianity growing up. We went to church a few times when I was little, but I'd never understood it. I thought religion was rules. Do this, don't do that, be good enough, earn your way to heaven. But these verses said something different. They said love comes first, not because you earned it, not because you're good enough, just love, free, given, already yours. I didn't know if I believed it yet, but I wanted to. God, I wanted to.
That Sunday morning, the same morning I was supposed to be dead, I did something crazy. I got dressed. I found a church near my apartment, and I walked in. I hadn't been to church in over 15 years. I didn't know what to expect. I sat in the back row, hood up, sunglasses on, hoping nobody would notice me. The worship music started. I don't remember the song, but I remember standing there, surrounded by people singing, and feeling that presence again, that same love. Tears started falling, and I couldn't stop them. I was crying in public in a room full of strangers, and I didn't even care. The pastor spoke about the prodigal son, the son who ran away, wasted everything, hit rock bottom, and the father who ran to meet him, who threw a party, who said, "My son was dead and is alive again." The pastor said, God isn't waiting for you to clean up your life before he loves you. He's running toward you right now, in your mess, in your brokenness. He's running toward you with open arms. And I knew he was talking directly to me. God had been running toward me my entire life, through every panic attack, every suicide attempt, every moment of despair. He'd been there, saying, "You are deeply loved." And I'd been too broken to hear it, until now. After the service, I sat in my car in the parking lot. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my entire worldview had shattered in 24 hours. I'd gone from wanting to die to what? Believing in God? Becoming a Christian? It felt too fast, too dramatic, too much. But I couldn't deny what I'd experienced. Those 4 words, that presence, that love. It was real, more real than anything I'd ever felt. So I did something I'd seen in movies, but never thought I'd do. I prayed, out loud, in my car. I said, God, I don't know if you're real. I mean, I think you are. I felt you. But I don't know how this works. I don't know how to do this. I've tried to kill myself 3 times. I'm on medication. I'm a mess. I don't know any Bible verses. I don't know how to pray. But if you're real, if you really love me, I need you to show me how to live, because I don't know how to do this on my own anymore. I surrender. I give up. You can have my life, whatever that means. And I felt it again, that peace, that love, washing over me like a wave,
I sat in that car for an hour, just crying and feeling held by an invisible God who just saved my life.
The next weeks were hard. I'm not gonna lie and say everything was instantly perfect. I still had depression. I still had anxiety. I still had days where the darkness felt overwhelming. But something was different. I wasn't alone anymore. I started going to church every Sunday. I joined a small group for women dealing with mental health issues. I met other Christians who'd struggled with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. They didn't judge me. They didn't tell me to just pray harder or have more faith. They said, us too, we've been there, and Jesus met us there. I started reading the Bible. I got a therapist, a Christian therapist, who helped me process my trauma without dismissing my faith. I stayed on my medication. I learned that mental illness isn't a sin. It's an illness, and God can heal it, supernaturally or through doctors and medicine. Both are His grace. I learned that you are deeply loved wasn't just something I heard once. It's true every single day, on good days and bad days, when I feel close to God and when I feel nothing. The truth doesn't change. I am deeply loved. Not because I'm perfect, not because I have it all together, but because God is love, and He chose to love me.
Today, I'm 31 years old. I'm still on medication. I still see my therapist. I still have hard days. But I'm alive, and I'm grateful. I started a ministry at my church for people struggling with mental health and suicidal thoughts. We meet every week. We talk honestly about depression, anxiety, trauma, medication, therapy, all of it. We don't pretend that faith makes mental illness disappear, but we do testify that Jesus meets us in our darkness, that He speaks into our pain, that He says, you are deeply loved, even when we can't feel it. I've walked 3 women back from the edge the way God walked me back. I've sat with them in hospital waiting rooms. I've prayed with them in parking lots. I've reminded them, you are deeply loved. The same 4 words that saved my life are now words I get to speak into other people's darkness. And I've seen God save them too. If you're watching this and you're where I was, planning your exit, writing your goodbye letters, convinced the world would be better without you, please hear me. You are deeply loved, not because of what you do, not because you're good enough, not because you have it together. You are loved because God is love, and He created you, and He wants you here. Your story isn't over. This isn't the end. Please call the suicide hotline, 988. Text a friend, go to an ER, do whatever you have to do to stay alive tonight, because God has a plan for your life, and it's beautiful. I know because I'm living it. The girl who wanted to die is now helping others choose life. That's the power of Jesus. That's the gospel. You are deeply loved. Believe it, receive it, live.